Hello guys, welcome. We've got a quadratic inequality before us and we ought to, to solve for x, right? As I've said that you need to have an idea of how the function looks like. You know what I'm saying? Obviously this is a quadratic, it's a parabola. So it's a function like this when a is positive, or it's a function like this when a is negative, right? So basically, being given it in this fashion, what do you think the value of a is? And remember, when I speak of a, we've got a x squared plus bx plus c. This is the general or the standard form of a quadratic, function. So a here determines whether the graph is going to be like this if it's positive, or it's going to be like this if it's negative, right? So from this graph, I want you to multiply this thing out and prove to yourself that a here is going to be negative, right? Okay, so now we're going to solve this using a graphical method and the table method, right? Okay, so we've got our Cartesian plane here, and then what are our critical values? Our critical values, I'm going to write C over here, CV, it's actually -7 and +5, right? So now we are going to have our parabola like this. Is this correct? It's actually not correct because our value of a is negative. So our parabola is going to be something like this, right? Okay, so it's not going to be symmetrical over there. It's obviously not drawn into scale. Okay, so we're here. So these critical values are going to be the x-intercepts. Here we're going to have -7. Here we're going to have 5, right? So now we are being asked as to, we're given -2 multiplied by x plus 7 multiplied by x minus 5 less than 0. So when we are solving this thing graphically, we need to basically ask ourselves, where is the graph below the x-axis? You see here, it's strictly less than, right? So where is it below the x-axis? And remember, the equation of the x-axis is y is equals to 0. So it is below the x-axis at a specific point. So if you look here, it is below the x-axis here and here. It is below the x-axis, below this point. And obviously this graph goes further down in this fashion. So now we need to express this, right? So this graph, it is actually, -2 times x plus 7 times x minus 5 is less than 0 when x is less than -7, or when x is greater than 5, right? So I can also write this in this fashion, whichever one is better for you guys. Then this weird looking e here just means an element of, or it's a member of, right? So x is a member of -infinity to -7. So it's going to be a round bracket like this because it's strictly less than over here. If it was less or equals to, it was going to be a square bracket. Then union with 5 to +infinity. So basically I've literally expressed these portions here. So let's actually check the table method as to how can we solve this using the table method. The table method. So remember now, on the table method, you do not necessarily need to know how the function looks like. You know what I'm saying? There is no need for you to know how the function looks like in this portion. As long as you have got your inequality in this fashion, you are good to go. So what governs the table method is you understanding that a positive times a positive is a positive. A negative times a positive is a negative here. And then a negative times a negative is positive. So if you understand this, you've mastered the table method, and it is quite easy. So we've got minus 2, we've got x, x plus 7, we have got x minus 5, right? So we put all of these here. And then we are going to write our critical values here, right? So we've got minus 7, and then we've got 5, you know? Then our thing continues. Okay, so obviously this is just a number. This is just a number. So you can imagine this as, I'm taking it a bit further now, minus 2x to the 0. You can imagine this as minus 2x to the 0, right? So basically, having considered that, choose any value where x is actually less than minus 7 and insert it here. So you're still going to have a negative. Remember, anything to the power 0 is 1, right? If you take any number, let's say minus 4 to the power 0, you're going to get 1. Minus 6 to the power 0, you're going to get 1. And then any x value between minus 7 and 5 to the power 0 times minus 2. So all of these will still be negatives, right? So this is what we are talking about. So x plus 7 now, any value of x that is less than 7. Here, let's say minus 9. If you put minus 9 plus 7 here, you're going to get a negative value, right? And then negative 7 here. At negative 7, you're going to get 0. You know what I'm saying? And also, any value of x that is less than 5 but greater than minus 7, let's say 0, for example, we'll put it here, we're going to get a positive value. And then any value of x that is greater than 5, and you put it here, we are still going to get a positive value. Last but not least, we've got x minus 5. Let me actually do this one in practice. So any value of x that is less than minus 7, we're going to say, we're going to use this portion, minus 7 minus, actually, it's going to be, let's say, minus 8. Minus 5, what is that? That is minus 13. So it's a negative value. And then at any value of x between 5 and 7, let's say 0. So it's 0 minus 5 is equals to minus 5. You see that? Still a negative value. And then at 5 now, 5 minus 5, we get what? A 0. So here, there we have it. We've got a 0. Then any value of x greater than 5, let's say 6. Let's say 6. So 6 minus 5. That's 1. So we will have a positive value over here, right? Okay, guys. Finally now, let's find this. So a negative times a negative, that's positive, times a negative, that is negative. A negative times a positive, that is a negative, times a negative, that is positive, right? And then lastly, a negative times a positive, that is negative, times positive, that is still negative. So let's look at what is our question saying. What is it saying to us? So minus 2, if you multiply minus 2 and any other portion, this portion and this portion, and get anything that is less than 0, that is where we are focusing. So basically, it is here and here. So if we express, this is going to be x is an element of, the same as the previous one, minus infinity to minus 7 union with 5 to positive infinity. I've just expressed these two. It's exactly the same as what we did above, you know. All right, guys, do stay blessed and enjoy the rest of your day.